The text came through at 2 a.m. while I was on assignment in Seattle. Mom finally did something about that house of yours. You sturt welcome. I stared at the message glowing on my phone in the dark hotel room. The house? My house in Alexandria, the 3-bedroom colonial I bought 2 years ago. I chose it carefully, 15 minutes from the federal courthouse, 20 minutes from my office at the U.S. Marshals Service headquarters. Me? What do you mean? Did something about it? Mom replied, I sold it. You were never there anyway. Always traveling for that job of yours. The money will help your sister with her wedding. I sat up so quickly, I nearly dropped my phone. You sold my house? Don't be dramatic. We still had your power of attorney from when you were overseas. We used it. The house was just sitting empty. $850,000 cash. Your father and I split it with Rachel for her wedding expenses. You can thank us at the reunion next week. My hands shook. That power of attorney, from when I was deployed to Afghanistan 6 years ago, before joining the Marshals, a document I'd forgotten to revoke when I returned stateside. Mom, you need to stop the sale immediately. It's done. Closed yesterday. Stop being selfish. Family helps family. I immediately called my supervisor, Deputy Chief Marshal James Crawford. He answered on the third ring, his voice rough with sleep. Mitchell, it's the middle of the night. Sir, we have a problem. My family just sold my house in Alexandria. A pause. Your house? The safe house? Yes, sir. Jesus Christ. The one we've been using for witness protection, the Castellano case. Another pause, longer this time. How long ago? They closed yesterday. I just found out. According to the protection detail SEP's last report, Angela Moretti and her 2 children are scheduled to be there another 3 weeks before relocation. And your family sold a federal safe house to who? I don't know yet, sir. Mitchell, get back to D.C. immediately. I'm activating the emergency response team. We need to relocate the Morettis and figure out what just happened. I caught the first flight out of Seattle. By the time I landed at Reagan National, it was 10 a.m. My phone had 17 new messages from my mother, all variations of you store being dramatic and you store ruining Rachel Sepp's wedding. I ignored them and drove straight to U.S. Marshals headquarters in Arlington. Deputy Chief Crawford was waiting in the secure conference room with 3 senior marshals and our legal counsel. Mitchell. Crawford gestured to a chair. Sit. Tell us everything. I explained the power of attorney, my parents' access to it, and the sale of the house without my knowledge or consent. Their expressions shifted from concern to anger. Let me make sure I understand. Legal counsel Patricia Williams said slowly, your parents sold a property that's been registered as a federal safe house for the past 18 months. A property currently housing a protected witness and her family in the Castellano organized crime case. A property with an active protection detail, and they did this without notifying anyone. Yes, Madame. Who bought the house? I don't know yet. My mother mentioned $850,000 cash, significantly below market value. Crawford Sett's jaw tightened. An $850,000 cash sale for a house worth at least $2.8 million. That Sett's either incompetence or something worse. Williams pulled up the property records on her laptop. The sale went through a company called Riverside Holdings LLC. Does that mean anything to you? No, my stam. She typed rapidly. Riverside Holdings is a shell company registered in Delaware. Owners hidden behind multiple layers. Mitchell, this wasn't a normal real estate transaction. The room went cold. You're saying someone targeted that specific property? I asked quietly. I'm saying someone paid cash below market value for a house that happens to be sheltering a witness against the Castellano crime family. It's not a coincidence. Crawford stood abruptly. We need to move the Morettis immediately. Mitchell, you are coming with me. Williams, Start investigating Riverside Holdings. I want to know who owns it and how they knew about that house. We arrived at the Alexandria house with a full tactical team. Marshals Rodriguez and Chin met us at the door, both looking confused. "Sir, what's going on?" Rodriguez asked. "We weren't set notified of any schedule changes." "The house was sold," Crawford said flatly. "Without authorization, we are evacuating the witnesses now." Rodriguez's hand moved to his weapon. "Sold? How?" "Family issues," I said quietly. "Is Mrs. Moretti inside with both kids?" "They are having lunch." We entered quickly. Angela Moretti looked up from the kitchen table, pale when she saw the marshals. "What happened? Did they find us?" "No, Madame," Crawford said. "But we moving you as a precaution. You have 10 minutes to pack essentials. Marshal Rodriguez will help you." Angela stood shakily. "But you said we be safe here. You said—" "I know what we said, Mrs. Moretti, and I apologize. There's been a complication with the property. We taking you somewhere more secure." As Rodriguez helped Angela gather their belongings, Crawford turned to me. "Your parents, where are they now?" "Family reunion. My Uncle Sep's farm in Pennsylvania. They are expecting me tomorrow." "Change of plans. We start going today. Bring a recorder. We need to document everything they say." We drove to Pennsylvania, in a convoy of 3 unmarked vehicles. Crawford, myself, Marshal Williams from legal, and 4 tactical support agents. My uncle's farm sat on 50 acres outside Harrisburg. By the time we arrived, the reunion was in full swing. Cars lined the driveway. Children played in the yard. The smell of barbecue drifted from the patio. My mother stood near the grill, laughing with my aunts. She spotted me and waved, then saw the people with me, all in suits, all with badges, and her smile faltered. "Sarah, what's going on?" I walked across the lawn with Crawford beside me. My father emerged from the house, beer in hand. My sister Rachel appeared from around the corner, her fiancé trailing behind her. "Mom, Dad," I said carefully, "we need to talk about the house." "Oh, for heaven's sake," my mother said. "Are you still upset about that? We did you a favor." "That house was a federal safe house," I interrupted. "It was being used by the U.S. Marshals Service to protect a witness and her children in an active organized crime investigation." The laughter died. My mother's face went white. "What?" "The house in Alexandria. The one you sold without my permission. It wasn't just my house. It was registered as federal property for witness protection." My father set down his beer slowly. "That's impossible. You said you worked in office administration." "I am a deputy U.S. Marshal," I said. "I have been for 4 years. That house was purchased for its location and security. It's been sheltering a protected witness for 18 months. Crawford stepped forward, holding up his badge. "Deputy Chief Marshal James Crawford, Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell. USEP sold federal property without authorization. More critically, USEP potentially compromised an active witness protection case." My mother grabbed my father's arm. "We didn't no. Sarah, you never told us." "I couldn't tell you. Operational security means I don't discuss safe house locations with anyone outside the service. But you should have asked before selling my property." "We had power of attorney." "That power of attorney was for emergencies during my military deployment 6 years ago. It was never meant to let you sell my house." Rachel pushed forward. "Sarah, Mom and Dad were just trying to help. They got me $400,000 for my wedding. You think I'm not upset that your wedding money came from an illegal sale of federal property?" I said flatly. "That money is going to be seized as proceeds from a crime." "Crime." My father's voice rose. "We didn't commit any crime. We sold your house. You are always traveling, never around for family. What were we supposed to think?" You were supposed to think that selling someone else's property without permission is illegal. Federal property makes it worse. Marshal Williams stepped forward. Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell, I'm with the legal counsel's office for the U.S. Marshals Service. The house you sold was legally owned by your daughter, but registered as federal property for witness protection. The sale without authorization violates 18 U.S.C. Section 1512, tampering with a witness. Additionally, because the sale was conducted using outdated authority, we weren't being fraudulent, my mother cried. You knew the power of attorney was no longer applicable, Williams continued, and the fact that you sold it significantly below market value to a shell company raises additional questions. Shell company? My father frowned. We sold it to a nice couple through a real estate agent. They paid cash, $850,000. The buyers used a shell company called Riverside Holdings. I said, do you know who they actually were? Some investors. The agent said they wanted it as a rental property. An $850,000 cash purchase for a house worth $2.8 million didn't seem suspicious to you. We are not real estate experts, my mother snapped. The agent said it was a fair price for a quick sale. Crawford's phone buzzed. His expression darkened. He turned his screen toward me. A photo of two men, one unfamiliar, one unmistakable, Vincent Castellano Jr., son of the mob boss whose operation Angela Moretti was testifying against. Riverside Holdings, Crawford said quietly. Shell company owned by the Castellano family. They bought your house. They knew it was a safe house. My blood went cold. How? We are still investigating. They probably offered cash below market to make it attractive. Your parents' greed made them an easy target. I turned back to my family. Who approached you about selling the house? The real estate agent. Linda something. She said she had buyers ready. You didn't list the house. How did she know you had access to it? She called, said she heard we had property in Alexandria. We might want to sell. How did she hear that? My parents exchanged glances. I might have mentioned it at the country club, my mother said. I was talking about Rachel Sepp's wedding expenses, and someone suggested we liquidate assets. I mentioned you had that house you never used. Crawford closed his eyes briefly. Mrs. Mitchell, you discussed your daughter Sepp's property, federal property, at a country club. In front of how many people? I don't know. It was just conversation. Those friends told someone that someone told the Castellanos. They sent a fake agent to convince you to sell them the safe house. My father Desmond's face had gone gray. You saying we helped the mob unknowingly. Yes, Williams said. You sold them direct access to a protected witness. Rachel grabbed my arm. Sarah, we didn't no. You have to believe us. You would never ask before making major decisions about my property, I said, pulling away. You would never respect that I might have reasons for privacy. You would never consider that my work might be more important than you assumed. That's not fair. Isn't it? You took my wedding money, didn't you? $400,000 from the sale. For what? Bigger venue? A fancier dress? Rachel Sepp's face flushed. Mom and Dad offered. They said you owed us. You never around. They said this was your contribution. My contribution was buying a house that happened to save 3 lives. Angela Moretti and her 2 children are alive because they were in that safe house instead of their apartment when the Castellanos sent men to kill them. That was my contribution to something that mattered. Silence stretched across the lawn. In the distance, children still played, unaware. Crawford's phone buzzed again. He answered briefly, then nodded to the tactical agents. Moretti is secure in a new location. The house in Alexandria is being swept for surveillance devices, and we have a warrant. 2 agents approached my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell, we have a warrant to seize all proceeds from the sale of the Alexandria property. That includes bank accounts, cash, and any assets purchased with those funds. My mother stumbled backward. You can sit, that SEPs our money. It sets proceeds from the illegal sale of federal property, William said. Additionally, you set are both being charged with 18 U.S.C. Section 1512, witness tampering, and 18 U.S.C. Section 641, theft of government property. You will need to come with us for formal processing. Sarah, my father turned to me, desperate. Sarah, stop this. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. Tell them we didn't mean any harm. I looked at him for a long moment. Dad, you sold a safe house to the mob. Whether you meant harm or not, you endangered 3 lives. I can stop this. I wouldn't stop this if I could. We are your parents. And Angela Moretti is a mother with 2 children who watched her husband murdered by the Castellanos. Your actions almost got her killed too. So no, I not stopping this. My parents were taken into custody that evening. Rachel's bank accounts were frozen. Her $400,000 wedding fund seized as evidence. Her fiancé left 2 days later. The investigation into Riverside Holdings led to the arrest of 3 Castellano associates and exposed a network of corrupt real estate agents being used to track federal properties. The mob had been systematically trying to identify safe houses across the eastern seaboard. My parents' carelessness gave them exactly what they wanted. Angela Moretti and her children were relocated to a secure facility out of state. She testified successfully against Vincent Castellano Sinner, now serving life in federal prison. Vincent Jr. got 20 years for witness tampering and related charges. My parents faced trials 6 months later. They were convicted of witness tampering and theft of government property. Dad got 4 years in federal prison. Mom got 3 years plus 2 years supervised release. The judge was clear. Ignorance wasn't an excuse when their actions nearly cost 3 lives. Rachel lost everything. Her wedding fund, her venue deposit, her fiancé, her reputation. Last I heard, she'd moved to Oregon to live with our aunt. I visited my parents once before they went to prison. They sat across from me in the federal holding facility, both wearing orange jumpsuits, looking a decade older than they had at the reunion. Sarah, my mother whispered, please can you do something? Talk to someone. Your father seps health. Mom, I my deputy marshal. I can interfere with a federal prosecution. You know that. But we our family. Family respects boundaries. Family asks permission. Family doesn't sell each other. Sets houses to mobsters. My father his hands shook. We didn't know they were mobsters. We didn't know it was a safe house. We didn't know because you never told us what you really do. I couldn't tell you, and clearly I was right not to trust you with sensitive information. Look what you did with basic property ownership. So this is our punishment? My mother asked. Prison because we tried to help our daughter with her wedding? You tried to help yourself to money that wasn't yours. Angela Moretti is alive because we evacuated her in time. If the Castellanos had gotten to her first, if she and her children had been killed, you be facing murder charges. 4 years in prison is getting off light. My father's face crumpled. When you get out, will I forgive you? Welcome you back? Pretend this never happened? You are my parents. Now you federal inmates who compromised a witness protection case because you were too selfish and careless to ask a simple question before selling my house. I stood up. I hope you use your time in prison to think about consequences. Real consequences. Not just what happens to you but what could have happened to 3 innocent people because of your actions. 2 years later, I received a letter from my mother. She'd been transferred to a minimum security facility in West Virginia. 8 pages of apologies, explanations, justifications. She missed me. She wanted to make things right. She'd learned her lesson. I read it once, then filed it with the case documents. Deputy Chief Crawford found me in my office later that day. Heard your mother reached out. She wants reconciliation. You going to give it to her? I thought about Angela Moretti, who'd sent me a Christmas card last year with a photo of her kids. They were smiling. They were alive. They were safe because I'd moved fast enough. No, I said. I sep not. Family sep's important, Mitchell. So is doing your job right. So is protecting people who can sit protect themselves. So is maintaining boundaries with people who sit proven they can sit be trusted. Crawford nodded slowly. Fair enough. For what it sets worth, you handled this with more professionalism than I would have. It wasn't set personal, sir. Wasn't set it? I met his gaze. It was absolutely personal. But that doesn't set change the fact that they broke federal law and endangered witnesses. Personal feelings don't fit override duty. No, he agreed. They don't set. My parents were released from federal prison 18 months ago. Mom served her full sentence. Dad got out 2 months early for good behavior. They moved to Florida to escape the whispers of their Pennsylvania community. They've written to me periodically. Cards on my birthday. Emails on holidays. Each one asks for a chance to talk, to explain, to rebuild. I haven't responded. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday enough time will pass that I can separate who they were from what they did. Maybe someday I self